I'd like to talk to you today about a second heavy-handed tactic used by disability insurance companies. Again, this could be with a private policy or a group policy. The provision that is unfair, and I call it heavy-handed, is basically one that deals with what the insurer calls overpayments. Overpayments occur when perhaps you were receiving a disability benefit of $5,000 a month, and then you received Social Security disability of maybe $2,500 a month. And then an offset occurs, and of course Social Security pays you retroactively back to an earlier point in time, and so then there has been an overpayment in the past of your disability benefit. And if there's a dollar for dollar offset, that $5,000 benefit then is reduced to $2,500 a month retroactively. And so basically you'll end up owing some money back to the insurance company. We understand that. That's a contractual provision in the policy. You might not like it, but I don't call that heavy-handed. You agreed upon that at the outset. Some of the other overpayment results can occur when you fail to report information, or if there's a misstatement or a fraud on your part, where you fraudulently create some documents that say you were making X amount of dollars and in fact you were not. Of course, those things can be easily detected at the outset by obtaining wage information from the employer directly, but nonetheless, okay, that's in there, that's fair, that's fine. There are always going to be people out there who are going to engage in fraud, and they're not necessarily just claimants. Sometimes they're on the other end of the stick and they're working at an insurance company, and they're trying to help the insurance company have more profits, and so thus they're committing some sort of fraud on their end. But nonetheless, fraud is fine. We're all against that. We want to root that out. That's fine. But the last overpayment provision in there that many people overlook is that if they make any error whatsoever, they have a right to correct that. It's not your error, that's their error. So if they make a mistake, they say they have a right to correct that. And many insurers have contended that there's no time limit on that either. We can go back 10 years if we want, and we can fix any mistake that we made with your claim 10 years ago. I've seen that also with pension claims, where the pension fund will say, oh, we made a mistake with your pension calculation 10 years ago, and so now you owe us $300,000. I've represented people with those claims. That's not fair and that's not right. If they make a mistake, that's a little bit different than if you made a mistake. You shouldn't have to pay for someone else's mistake. That's not fair. But what makes it even more unfair is that there are time limits on making claim decisions. And there's two parts of the claim decision. One part is whether you're eligible to receive the benefit, whether there's liability on the part of the insurance company to pay that disability claim. And the other part is the calculation of the benefit. That's the second part. There's always those two parts, and there are time limits on them making their decision on both parts. All right? And so they have an obligation under the policy to make those decisions within certain time frames. And if this falls under federal law, under ERISA, they have an obligation to make those decisions under certain time limits under ERISA. So, to say those time limits no longer matter if we made a mistake allows them then to go back years earlier and correct a matter. That's not right and that's not fair, and I've represented people with those type claims with disability insurance companies. I don't like it, it's not right, and it's not what should occur. This policy has to be interpreted in a fair and even-handed manner, taking into account all provisions. And so if they make a mistake and it was 10 years ago, that's too bad. That's on them, okay? They have an obligation then to make the current claim decision, which usually is a decision that's supposed to be made a month at a time. in a fair and proper manner. That could result in a change in your benefit if they find out they've been making a mistake, but that change should be going forward, not going back in the past. The policy has to be interpreted taking into account all provisions, including those timelines. Otherwise, it's a heavy-handed matter. I've seen insurance companies form overpayment units, where a person's job showing up for work at the insurance company is to go into other files of other insurance adjusters and try to find a mistake and then try to assert a claim against the insured to get the money back for the insurance company, thus making the insurance company more profitable at the expense of the claimant. That's not fair and that's not right. And if you have that situation, you need to give us a call. This overpayment situation also comes into play with a form that you may have signed, a direct deposit form. Now that form usually has a sentence or two in it that says, if we make a mistake on any payment, then we have a right to invade your account and get our money back and correct that mistake unilaterally, without any assistance from you, without letting you know, without letting anyone else know. We just go in there and get the money back. And so let's say they contend they made a mistake in paying your benefit at all, and they should never have been paying your benefit for the last 2 years, and so they're going to invade your checking account and take back money going back several years. That's not right. You're going to have bounced checks all over the place. That's not fair and that's not right. The only way that direct deposit form should read is that if we make a mistake in putting money into your account, we will contact you and we will let you know that there's a mistake. And then we will work with you to fix that mistake. And you agree to work with us fairly and reasonably to fix that mistake. That's how that should work. You can't just take a heavy-handed approach and snatch people's money out of an account because you made a mistake. There needs to be common knowledge shared with everyone. If you have any of these type problems regarding heavy-handed tactics from a disability insurance company, you need experienced counsel on your side.